Whether you're leading for the first time, leading through change, or learning to lead all over again, this space is for you. No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk from those who've led through challenges, adapted under pressure, and thrived in the face of change. Welcome to Command to Corporate, where leadership isn't just taught, it's lived. Let's get to work. All right, welcome back, everybody, to C2C Command to Corporate. We're your hosts. What was that? What was it? We're your hosts. I am LP. He is T. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in again. And if this is your first time, this is our season two material. So we're going through
Mm,
some content specifically geared towards up and coming leaders, maybe some new leaders. But in our discussions, we found that some of this is relevant to every level of leader in an organization. So hopefully, people are getting some nuggets out of this. Definitely leave comments, feedback for us. We love to read it. And that's it. T, we're at the end of the week.
yes,
For those of
sir.
you, usually it's bright and sunny for us because we record on days where it's bright and sunny in the middle of the day. We're doing an evening run this time, and with the
Yeah, it's a
time change, it
Friday evening.
is dark, but it's Friday. Happy Friday!
What a life we
Oh,
lead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So good thing it is Friday. I know we were catching up T before this, and I know you got to put in some work
Yeah,
over the weekend. So hopefully not too much. I
fingers
don't plan to
crossed.
do any of it, but I'll be in Chicago next week. So
Oh,
I'm flying out on Monday, come
okay.
back Friday. So actually be out there to support some veterans. So
That's right.
Chicago Service Academy Service, what is it?
Service
Service
Academy Career
Academy Career
Conference.
Conference. There it is. Yep. So those vets that are looking to transition out, hopefully getting them support and find them some jobs, helping them get employed. So doing our
Should
thing,
be
giving
fun.
back. It should be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Good luck with
So
the
we'll
snow.
jump into. Oh, yeah, yeah. Man, I'm telling you, I've been to Chicago in the snow when it's very. I've been down there when it's been up there 9 degrees outside, wind
Mm,
whipping around those buildings. It's like brutal,
don't
brutal,
miss those
brutal.
days. No.
No, no. All right, so we'll jump into it. So this is our episode 7 of season 2, leading hybrid and remote
Hmm.
teams. And we'll jump into it. So, what's the biggest challenge of leading remotely?
Yeah.
And I think off the bat, first thing is obvious is that you're not face to face.
Mm,
You know that camaraderie and you know that engagement, interaction, all of the things that come with being face to face, quick chats, catch ups, helping to build a relationship because you're talking to each other, you see each other, going to get lunch together, all of those things. When you don't have that and people are just maybe jumping on a meeting and then they're back out, it's like, how do you build it? It's going to be that could be a challenge. Also, motivating,
mm,
driving motivation because you could easily see someone, see how things are going, check in with people right then and there, where remotely it may be limited depending on the leader of the team through trying to align calendars to catch up.
yeah. And something else also, like I was thinking is like, how couples could sit there together and eat in silence, but they're content. They know they got each other there, and they don't have to talk, but they know the other person's there, and it kind of makes them feel good. I think there's kind of that aspect to it in the office. When like your teammates are right next to you. If you ever need them, you kind of just like turn around and say, "Hey, Larry, help me out with this," or they don't have to say anything. You just being there just makes you feel good for some reason. I have no idea. But also, what I've noticed is that like remote, you have a hard time getting those physical cues of people. The
Mhm.
nervousness, the
Yeah,
handshaking, the fidgeting with their fingers, the sweaty palms, the bouncing
yeah,
knees. All those things like you miss out on, and I think
yeah,
that's a big challenge because you can't tell when somebody's nervous or really excited, or so some of those subtle things that I think I miss, and I think that I would love to see, but you can't obviously because it's remote.
And as you're talking, like, even when you're like, hey, you had a quick minute, and even if they have a meeting coming up, they'll go, oh, yeah, I got a minute. And you can walk off and just chat. Hey, you want to grab a coffee real quick?
Oh
Because I want to
yeah.
run something by you. You could go do that. So there's all those opportunities for those quick catch ups that you potentially miss. Not to
Yeah.
say that people can't
Oh, that's true.
ping
Yeah.
people, but it's just it's not the same, you know.
Yeah.
Now others may object and say, you know, it's fine, and we love
Mhm.
to hear from people that make it work and say we have the same exact thing but virtually. Would love to hear about that.
Yeah.
But
So I guess people should know because this is gonna take the entire podcast right now. I love to work from the office. I am a 7 days. Yeah, this week will be seven
damn
days.
near, damn near.
But I am a 5 days a week in office type person. Like even on weekends, if like I need to do some work, I'll probably just go into the office and get it done. But so that's where I'm coming from. I personally do not like hybrid or working from home personally. But that's just me. Just so you know, that's where like all my answers are. That's my discussion is going to be focused from.
Where for me, I mean, I can do either or.
Yeah,
I do like working from home. I mean, I find myself zoning into things
really,
and really focusing and getting it done. I can. Sometimes I'll turn on music, let it play in the background, and that really pushes me to go even more.
really.
Yeah. But yeah, listening to music. Like if I find myself where I'm feeling kind of like where I can't focus or I don't have the energy, if I put
Hmm.
on music, it's going to amp it up and I'm going to get going. Even at work, if I need to really go in on something, I'll put on my headphones, put on music, and I'm off and running.
Man, okay, good for you. I'm too distracted at home because I'm
Yeah.
like,
No.
I come back home from the gym. It's like, oh, let me get some breakfast, take a shower. I'm eating breakfast. Let me turn on news, TV, and next thing you know, like an hour into work, yeah, it's just any excuse I could look for to be productive while at home, I will, and not being productive for work. I mean, being productive in chores. that's where, that's what happens. So yeah, I can't do it. But okay, cool. That's pretty good that you can focus, and I understand people can. I just
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
All right. So, how do you maintain visibility with remote employees?
Mm.
I mean, to me, that's a challenge. I think about like COVID time, being everyone going remote, trying to figure out how does this even work? What are the essentials to keep the business going and focus on that, and having a lot of meetings to bridge that.
Yes.
And I think having, maybe weekly team meetings, maybe have weekly one-to-ones to ensure that at least you're in, and make sure your camera's on and you're ready to, so I could see you and see how, at least over camera, how you seem to be looking and things like that. And though I can't see maybe your hands and things you're doing, but at least the visual cues of how you're looking that you mentioned, I think those things work. And even
Hmm.
in that kind of environment during that time, people doing the virtual happy hours where it's like, hey,
Yeah,
grab a
yeah, that
drink,
does. Yeah.
doing those things and trying to laugh, and maybe you incorporate, kind of online games and things that you can do
Hmm.
virtually to
Hmm.
still build that team building and things like that. So that's what I would say to maintain visibility, having those set reoccurring meetings where you don't want to burden people, but it's just to make sure that, hey, I'm here, I'm checking on you, things are good, we're a team. Don't make things too infrequent because it's just getting lost. They're not connected.
Yeah, no, I agree. And same exactly what you said, I think. And daily stand-ups, I think is a good way to start a day. Get the team together, 15 minutes right off the bat,
Very good
doesn't have to be
point.
long. It doesn't have to be 5 days a week either. It could be twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever fits your battle rhythm. But also I think a dedicated time, maybe 30 minutes, boss to employee once a week is also another good opportunity for that to stay connected. So it
Yeah,
gives you that deeper dive a little bit.
absolutely. How can leaders build trust without face to face contact?
I don't see that's any different than normal, honestly. Like
Me
I don't.
too.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Do what you say what you do. I guess that's how the saying goes. I think.
Something like that. Something like that.
Constantly providing transparency, communication, is really what builds trust. And making sure you're looking out for the team, and the team knows you're looking out for them. So yeah, I don't see really any big difference.
Yeah, sticking to your commitments,
Hmm.
still leading from the front, the transparency, the engagement, keeping
Exactly.
them informed, all of
Yep.
those things still happens. Following up, all of those kind of things, I think, still can virtually, and a lot of people hopefully experience that where they were able to do that even more from the time where we went remote and still have hybrid work going on, that maybe help to build even stronger teams, through those
Oh yeah.
times. So I would think people come out even stronger. So yeah. And we just touched on it. What rhythms or rituals keeps teams connected
Yep.
virtually, which we just discussed. How do you measure performance in hybrid settings? I don't think that's still any different because, for example, when you talked about huddles, like I have a huddle slash performance board that I meet with and it's on Teams.
Hmm.
So when we go to it, they're updating on Teams. We pull it up virtually, build it up I
Mm.
mean, online, and then we might be in a room together if we're in the office, or we could be virtual, but it's the same thing. So you're
What's
still
on the
looking at
board?
this, like different KPIs that measure their performance.
Got you.
So it's basically reflecting different aspects of their work, not
Yeah.
everything, but key areas that we want to say, let's track it. How are we doing? The majority of it, I think, ties into what's in their performance contracts for the year. So again, transparency, they know how they're tracking, give me updates, any escalations, anything you need me to do, but we're keeping each other informed. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so it's the same
Yeah.
thing.
The only aspect I agree, same thing. The only aspect that I really have a hard time measuring is teamwork sometimes. Like I feel like some people come on the team, a team's meeting and interact for that 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then nobody hears from them ever again. They just disappear. They're doing their
Mm.
work, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times people just don't interact otherwise. And a lot of times I don't know if teamwork is the right thing, but definitely like interacting with your peers, your colleagues, you know, inspires ideas. I guess, and many people have said this. That's why people are pushing to go back to the office.
Yeah.
Interacting inspires ideas, inspires more communication, collaboration, and all that stuff. And those are some of the things you can't measure: collaboration, teamwork. And that's part of performance, to me at least.
I would say maybe a way, maybe a light way would be like when people are out, who's the backup? And a backup covering that same
True.
work where the work does
Yeah.
not stop. So within my team, current team that I have, we have backups amongst each other. So if someone's out, they're like, okay, they're handing off tasks amongst the team. And then when they come back, it's like those people are reporting out on the other person's work. So that way that they've been engaged, they've done stuff, they're
True.
like
Okay.
nothing, you haven't missed a beat.
Yeah.
They're coming back to a clean plate, and then they can jump right back in and just pick up and keep going, not having to go back,
Okay.
catch up on work. So that's a way to kind of measure the teamwork aspect
Okay.
as it relates
Yeah.
to work. One way.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a good. I didn't think about it that way. But that's a good point. They have to communicate in order to have that seamless transition. But
Yeah.
okay.
So, what tools make remote leadership easier? I
Hmm.
don't know that I don't know of tools that would make remote leadership easy. Well, let me take that back. I think things like Teams or
Hmm.
different tools where you could chat,
Yeah.
kind of virtual meetings, things like that, collaboration boards. Like, for
Yes.
example,
Exactly.
I use Mural a lot to
Hmm.
facilitate different kind of things, or Miro. You have Slack channels. You have, so many different ways to have engagement and things going on.
Yep.
Trello, so you put projects in there and you kind of track it, and people are updating its visibility. So I think
Hmm.
there's plenty of tools out there that makes, I wouldn't say it easier, but at least it creates transparency. I mean, because those tools can still be used whether you're remote or not.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if it makes it easier. At first glance, at first thought, like, yeah, it should. You got video conferencing, document sharing. That mural is awesome. I think that's great. Virtual whiteboards essentially for those that don't know. Um, I thought those would make, leadership easier and teamwork easier. But you're right. Like when I first got on the team and I started using Mural, I was like, it was a challenge. Like it really was difficult. Like for me, and I'm like, I've never
Mm,
used this virtual whiteboard. Like the army didn't have
yeah,
this stuff. you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and so it took a while to get up to speed on it, and I thought it was the biggest pain in the butt ever. Because like people that use it every day are like expert at it, and then like you have me fumbling around. I just look like an old guy that doesn't know how to use technology. So yeah, I mean, I guess with all tools, there's that ramp up of just learning it. Okay.
But I think if we looked at remote work as if it was standalone, it's the only thing that existed.
Mm,
Like maybe you don't have the option to have hybrid or in person. Maybe your team is one that you hire all over the map. So unless you're having like an all hands and bringing people in like quarterly,
mm,
it's the majority of it is remote. Then those tools would make it easier because you are using, and there's so many different ones out there to kind of help communication and see each other and chat and all these things and projects and performance, everything. So in that aspect, I would say yes, it's easier because you're not based on, if we take those tools out, well, what do we have? Well, I'm gonna email you this Excel spreadsheet. You put it in, you send it back to me. Maybe I have
oh
a
my
Gantt
God,
chart.
yeah.
You email it to me. I got to email it to you.
Yeah.
Email so and so. Did you talk to so and so? So having documents that are on shared locations where people can be in it at the same time, making updates at the same time, and all of those things really help. So that in
So
that aspect, I would say easier.
true. I'm curious, for those that are still serving, do they have like cloud like files, I guess, or forms? Is my question to those still serving, because like when I was in, like that wasn't possible. Like we were emailing back different versions of Excel file, PowerPoint. It was pretty bad. I think about it, but I
Some
think
of
it
the
was
young
something.
some of the young soldiers are gonna be like, "How old is he?"
It's true. I know it's bad, but like it was, security, because, the first thing they would say, well, it's not secure because it's open. And so I wonder if they have something that's better, because before, what was it that used to be like the Army Knowledge Online, AKO?
Oh yeah, AKO. Yeah,
That was the
that's right.
Army's collaboration tool at one point,
Yeah,
but I don't know if it was really as good as what we have today.
yeah,
Well,
that's
I don't know
true.
about
Dang,
that,
I
man.
haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm
they
not
have it
that. I'm
anymore.
not that old. Don't think that. I'm not that old. All right. So, how do you onboard new employees remotely? Now, I experienced this some because you might
Hmm.
have welcome emails with links to
Hmm.
different things. Check out these
Sure.
places. Um, you could, of course, you want to have some kind of Teams meeting to intro, and
Hmm.
maybe you set up some, which I've seen before. If there are key people in the organization on the team, setting up virtual catch ups or coffee and connects or
Hmm.
whatever to meet people. So, plenty of ways to onboard like that. And I think for those that may be struggling, getting a template, a checklist of,
Oh yeah.
here's some links, some key places. This is where we keep our forms. This is where our
Hmm.
training,
Yeah.
these are different platforms. Here's your accesses. Okay, here's where you can reference your training videos. And in between all of that, I did set up some, key meetings with maybe some department heads or people you would be working with to give you an intro into their work and the collaboration space. So that way, as you start to jump in these meetings, at least you know who these people are. So I think those are definitely ways that you can onboard remote employees.
So I agree. I would still want like day one, come to the office, or I don't care, meet somewhere, face to face. And I think it's always good to have like a first day one face to face as opposed to virtual. Because if you think about it, if you're hiring somebody virtual, remote, you probably interviewed them remote as well. Like you don't even know
Yeah,
how tall this person is. you know, I mean,
possibly,
gosh,
possibly.
look, I look taller than you right now, and Larry's laughing because I'm like a whole foot shorter than him. But you see what I'm saying? Like people, and I've heard this on our team. You know, like an SVP hires a new team member, and literally this conversation was like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize you're that tall." Like that was the conversation day one,
Yeah,
and it's funny, but like I really believe like day one should be face to face as much as possible.
yeah, I would agree with
Sure,
that.
you may not able to the immediate supervisor should at minimum have a face to face day one.
Yeah, yeah, I would think so. I mean, I know for some it can be tough. Excuse me, I remember being hired over into uh I worked in Saudi Arabia. I did interview with
Hmm.
the recruiters face to face, but the
Oh,
hiring manager was in country. So I never saw him. There was no virtual meeting. It was just like over the phone, interviewed over the phone. Then they were like, okay, yes, based on just off a resume and a conversation. Next thing you know, I'm in Fairfax, Virginia, going through some in processing, and then over
hmm.
there, the first time I'm seeing coworkers, manager is when I'm already in country. So hopefully you deliver because you're there now. And
That's true.
yeah, so it can be kind of quite weird because you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know team members. You don't know anything
Yeah,
until you show up.
yeah.
So
I think this it's always a professional touch to be face to face day one.
okay. What military lessons apply to distributed teams? So I think you would probably have more experience than me on distributed teams because I don't know that I've experienced distributed teams like that. I mean, I could see maybe having the most for me distributed might be have some soldiers in the rear and I have
Hmm.
some soldiers in the field. But that's like back in the day, not using an internet, calling people over the radio, give me a
Yeah, yeah,
status
yeah,
update, maybe going out to the field, checking on them, coming back. That's the extent of it.
yeah. So actually, in the army, I've had a couple of experiences that way. So my first experience was when I was an admissions officer for West Point. So I was
Mhm.
the it's called the I forgot what the title is, but I basically oversaw the admissions for all of the Northeast of the United States, and I had probably about like 300 plus volunteers that would help me
Oh,
execute the mission to go out, talk to candidates, go to schools, academy days, or just kind of the events, and really everything you've mentioned, I kind of used bits and pieces. The collaboration tools weren't all there, but it was still. I broke regions. Excuse me. I took those 300 people and I said, okay, let's break it down to regional teams. And you assign a regional leader, and then you basically provide commander's intent, mission intent, and maybe give them a nudge in the right direction, and they execute. So it's really kind of it's no different than what we do now or what people do these days. So
mm,
I think it's the same. The other
okay.
experience is when I was at Fort Knox. I had a team in Indianapolis. So Fort Knox is in Louisville, Kentucky. Uh, Same thing, honestly. I went up and saw them as much as possible, but given a mission, commander's intent, here's where I'm trying to get to, and check in every once in a while. So yeah, it's really no different. But to me, it seems common sense. but I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't know.
Mm, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. So, how do you avoid creating an in office versus remote divide?
Mm,
And for me, it would be bringing the remote people in, you know, as much as your budget allows, you not where it's not like they're never
uh,
here. Like we have to
yeah.
follow these rules in the office. They're at home.
Yeah.
At
Yeah. Yeah.
least bringing them in to participate. Maybe there's some kind of maybe rules or standards you have in place that kind of apply to both, regardless of where you are. Though you can't see the remote employees, but I think as far as it's not like when it comes to like the team building engagement piece, it's like
Mhm.
however often you could bring those remote people and bring the team together to just, even if it's just like, I just want them in an office to work together. We're going to get a
Mhm.
conference room. Everybody can work out of it. There's be some side rooms if we need private meetings, but I want us together as frequently as we can, as much as our budget will allow. Let's get
Mhm.
together.
Yeah. Um, agreed. The other critical part I would add to that is to have the same exact expectations for in home or remote. I mean, in office or remote. There should be no change whatsoever in what's expected. There should be no leniency if you are working from home. You know, everybody standards are standards and they apply across the board. And I think that's kind of an important thing to ensure happens. Now, I also think, people that are remote, there's a reason why they are remote, you know?
Mm,
Um, and I think we need to communicate that to those that work in the office. It's like, listen, his region or her region is New York. We're in Texas, you know.
yeah,
It doesn't make sense having people travel constantly, And so like I think
yeah,
you also need to explain like the circumstances why some people are working remote because people are going to ask, why can't I work remote? You know?
yeah.
And so I think doing a little bit of explaining and just kind of maintaining the same standards probably helps.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Sounds good. So, how can leaders build culture across distance?
That's hard.
I would say so too. I think, that's one of those things where I was recently talking to a young lady that's very instrumental in building culture in a company. And everything that happens in building a strong culture, the norms, the behaviors, everything to bring people together
Mhm.
is bringing people together.
Yes.
It's literally like, we're going to go bowling together. We're doing this,
Yes.
team Halloween thing together. It's everything is always coming together, regardless of what it is. Hey, I want to start a soccer league, motorcycle club. What it's always bringing people together. So when it comes to distance, I still think a leader would have to go back to how do we bring people together? Because and then when you come together, how do you maximize that time with not just, I guess, going back to my point of just being in the office together, but then adding on to that to say, how do I build team? How do I build culture while I have them together? Like planning in something that gets them laughing and talking and engaging and getting to know each other better in the short time they do have together.
Yeah, those are excellent ideas, and I think it's probably better than anything I could think of. Um, but I'm trying to reflect back to our discussion about culture we've had a while ago. It seems like,
Yeah.
um, so I think like if people need to know what's expected of them, right? People need to know kind of how people are going to act around them. People need to know what our principles are as a team, And so like I think, you know, doing what you're already doing, make sure people understand the team mission. This is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. First of all, that's our objective. That's our North Star. This is our purpose, right? And so now that you have your purpose, you say, okay, well, how are we going to get there? What are the team norms, right? What do we want? So come together as a team, same as, whether it's virtual or in person, same thing really. and say, okay, let's come together as a team and figure out like what do we expect from each other? What do we expect from our stakeholders? How should we interact and what are the standards? So there you got a lot of it already ironed out.
Yeah.
Um, but the but at the end of the day, it's critical, like you said, to bring people together and get that forced fun a little bit. The army,
Yeah.
the army's famous for it. It's forced fun, mandatory fun, but it works. It really does, and that's why we still do it. It's amazing because two people may never talk or don't have a reason to talk if they're remote, but when you put them together as a team and you give them some like fun project to do, now they're forced to interact and talk. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that about that. I didn't know that about you, Larry.
Yeah.
So like we start talking like, oh, you ride a motorcycle? I do too. What motorcycle do you
Yeah.
have? And that opens up a conversation. You're like, oh, Larry's just like me. I didn't know that, but that's cool.
Yeah.
And
So
so
you're
you
building
become a little affinity.
relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you become
Yeah, exactly.
building relationships that hopefully, especially when you hire someone new and they're
Mm-hmm.
meeting the team for the first time, doing some kind of activity to get people talking, engaging, and hoping
Yeah.
that establishes a connection. Everybody's not going to be best friends, but some kind of connection where they're like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? At least there's someone in the team I can chat with, so
Mm-hmm.
definitely have to think about that.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay. Man, well, we moved through this one. I think it was good. Good. We were right to the point. We were getting it done. So
It's Friday. You're already
it's
drinking.
right.
I haven't
Yeah.
had my first drink yet.
Hey, no, but I was going to bring that up too. It's actually ginger beer. It's not liquor because people probably look like, "Damn, this dude drinking a beer right there on during the podcast." Ain't
I'm
no
just
shame in
jealous
that. I
here,
would
bro.
do it. Yeah.
I'm
I
like, I
got
need a
some
beer.
tequila downstairs that I'm gonna hit up here in a
Ah,
minute, though. That's for real.
all right. So you still got to party. It's Friday. You still have time.
Yeah, I still got time. Though I'm just gonna sip and chill. That's it. But yeah. All right.
That's
Well, we got it done. So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to Commander Corporate. If today's episode gave you value, as always, do us that favor, share with a colleague or teammate who's ready to step into leadership. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Connect with us on YouTube where you can see us, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts for more leadership insights and resources. And we're just sharing the knowledge that we know. And until next time, lead with clarity, lead with purpose, and always remember mission first, people always. We'll catch you next time.
thanks, Larry.